We've officially reached the off season, and that means we need to start looking at our brand new ADP. It's startup ADP, and it includes the rookies in this. And so looking through it, there's some fascinating names. Of course, this time of year, typically rookies are going to be pretty expensive. And honestly, as we get to the combine, as we get to the NFL draft, and then eventually your rookie draft, they're going to still be really expensive and probably only going up from here. But what does that mean? It means that it presents some values with the veterans. So I want to talk about 4 players right now that are values that you might be able to get at what I would perceive to be a pretty nice discount. And we're going to start at the wide receiver position, and let's look at, I guess, our most expensive of the group, but still fairly cheap, Jayden Reed. If you had Jayden Reed last year, you were a little bit disappointed. He came off a really good season, and then that huge week 1 performance, we're thinking, yeah, this is going to be Jayden Reed's year. Unfortunately, he only finished as wide receiver 29 on the season. But that being said, his ADP right now is wide receiver 36, and he's coming in as the 96th player off the board, which means he was already better than what he was being drafted at last year. If you can get a second-year guy cheaper than what he played as the year before, you're getting a good value there. But it's not just that leads me to believe that this is some ADP value. Here's some underlying things. 1, he was healthy. Players that can remain healthy and play throughout your season are a value. 2, he was actually 6th in yards after catch at the wide receiver possession. 6th per reception. So on a per reception base, he was 6th. So he was doing things after the catch with the football. He was also 17th in yards per route run. So yes, once again, when he's on the field, when given opportunity, he's making plays. But then here's the biggest one of all. All of the wide receivers in the league that were targeted at least 50 times, he was first. That's right, number 1 overall in passer percentage, so passer rating for the quarterback. He was number 1 in all the NFL when targeted. Means when he got the ball, he made something happen with it. He was friendly to his quarterback. These coaches are going to see this. The analytics department's going to see this in the offseason and say, hey, we need to figure out ways to make sure that we are prioritizing getting Jayden Reed 6, 7, 8 targets every single game, if not more, because he was really good when he had the football. Let's go to the next one here. Jonnu Smith. Yes, Jonnu Smith to me is a value. He's going as the 136th player off the board right now. That's tight end 16. Now, I think this one is a layup. I don't feel like I need to give a lot of information other than the fact that he was the 4th tight end last year, and now he's tight end 16. That to me is just silly. Now, I know you're saying, well, he's a little bit older. He's 30 years old. Okay, we're still using tight ends that are 33, 34, 35, 36 years old in the league. He's still got plenty of years left in him. And this is one of the few offenses that has remained untouched. We have the same head coach. We have the same offensive coordinator in Frank Smith. We have the same quarterback. We have the same other pieces around him, as in wide receivers and running backs. Like, there's really not anything changing in this offense at all. Usually you have something, the addition of another playmaker in the offense, a different head coach, different offensive coordinator, different quarterback. Like, almost every single team is touched by something like that. The Miami Dolphins haven't been. Sure, is there a chance they draft somebody? I guess. But look, this offense has shifted from a vertical passing threat to more of that true West Coast. Let's get the ball out quick and get it to our playmakers. And that's what Jonnu Smith does well. So for me, tight end 16 is an absolute steal. Let's get to one that maybe is the best bargain out of all of the ones we're going to talk about here. Jauan Jennings. Jauan Jennings is the 160th player off the board at wide receiver 61. You heard that right. Wide receiver 61. This is a player that averaged 14 points per game last season. He was wide receiver 24 on the year despite missing a game. And when you look at that, you're saying, okay, but there were some injuries and there were some, okay. Debo's likely gone. They've come out and said that they are wanting to move on from Debo, whether that's via trade or whether they cut him or whatever. He's likely gone. Brandon Ayuk is going to be recovering from a significant injury. You have no idea what you're going to be getting, but it's not usually till year 2 that these guys start to look like themselves after a major injury like that. Jauan Jennings has a very clear path to be the guy, and Brock Purdy loves him. Brock Purdy targets him. When he's the focal point, he's getting the ball like crazy. So for me, I think Jauan Jennings is a crazy good value at wide receiver 61. Last but not least, if you're playing in a Superflex league, I'm looking at the 158th player off the board. That's quarterback 35. Yes, there are only 32 possible starting quarterbacks, and I'm advocating for quarterback 35 because it is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson last year was less than a point behind Jordan Love and Justin Herbert in points per game. He was a very solid, steady, and effective quarterback 2 for your fantasy football teams. Came in a points per game basis as quarterback 19. So very steady, very solid. But there's a chance that he could end up either A, back in the same offense, or B, a likely higher flying, more exciting offense. And when you look at the players that are going ahead of him, A, there's just so many teams that will need a quarterback. He's going to be starting somewhere next year. But B, we even have unproven rookies. And not just like, yeah, Cam Ward and Shedeur, of course they should go ahead of him. No, I'm talking right now, ADP-wise, Quinn Ewers is going higher than Russell Wilson. I have not seen a single mock that had Quinn Ewers in round 1 of the NFL draft. And most people will think it's unclear if he'll even be a day 2, which means round 2 or 3 player. Russell Wilson going behind Quinn Ewers is an absolute travesty. That is great value. Gobble up Russell Wilson at quarterback 35.